God. Believe in me. In my Father's house are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.
I'm tearing up. Can I borrow your hanky?
Katherine always seems so indestructible.
Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more, but ye see me, because I live. Ye shall live also. You know, it's difficult to say goodbye to someone who leaves such a large presence in our lives. Catherine's absence is going to leave a tremendous hole in our hearts. None of us will ever be quite the same. I guess we'll just shed our tears of sorrow, but I have a feeling that the Duchess is somewhere, and hey, she's laughing. She's amused that we're making such a fuss over her. And all the while she's taking charge of her social calendar at heaven.
Damn. No surface.
Marge, wake up. Come on, talk to me. Come on. Marge. Oh, thank the Lord you're alive. Marge, what are you doing out here? What happened?
Where am I? Who are you?
Anyone here who would like to share their feelings about Katherine, please feel free to come up here and do so.
My name is Elizabeth Foster. London is my home now, but I lived here in Genoa City for many, many years. Looking at all of you gathered here, I honestly think that, except for Brock, I knew Mrs. Chancellor longer than anyone. Katherine was a very rich woman. Not because she had a lot of money, but because her life was full of love. She had a gift that made you want to be around her. She knew how to treat people. I guess that's why she had so many friends from so many walks of life. I kept house for Mrs. Chancellor long ago, before she and I became friends. And in all the time that I worked for her, she never once treated me like a second-class citizen. Esther, you know what I'm talking about, don't you, dear? And I imagine that a lot of the rest of you do, too. That's what I call having character. And Katherine Chancellor had it in spades. There never was a more down-to-earth, fair-minded woman on this planet. Everyone who met her had a chance to prove their mettle or fall flat on their face. You know who you are.
Growing up, I didn't even know Katherine was my grandma. Instead, I knew her as my father's oldest and dearest friend. But as I grew older, I realized she was the wisest person I'd ever meet. If I had a problem, I could always go to her. I would get great advice. Of course, I didn't always follow it. But if she saw I was making an honest effort, she always had my back. Of course, if I didn't, she'd know that too and give me a swift kick in the pants. But either way, I always knew that I was going to get nothing but honesty from her, because that was my grandma. There was no room for lies. What you saw is what you got.
And I didn't even know that I had family until I moved here a couple of years ago. But from the moment I met Katherine, my grandma, she embraced me. The time we had together was just cut a little too short. But I know that knowing her, like everyone else here in this room, has made me a better person. And I'm sure there'll always be a part of her with me, because a true connection of the heart, it won't be broken.
It's hard for me making friends. I'm pushy and I'm loud and I pretty much wear my heart on my sleeve. But from the moment I met her, Mrs. C accepted me just the way I am. And despite our age difference, we were kindred souls. And when I screwed up, which was pretty much like constantly, she never made me feel dumb. I've learned so much from her. She's a woman that I want to be someday. Goodbye, Mrs. C. The world's gonna be a lot lonelier place without you. I don't even know how to tell you how I felt about Mrs. Chancellor. She was my employer, my mentor, and my best friend in the whole world. And she was the kindest, sweetest, most forgiving human being but I remember one time the chauffeur had the flu, and Mrs. C wanted me to drive her to a business meeting. I was so nervous, driving that big, beautiful car. So we got to the parking garage, and I sideswiped two cars and rear-ended the other one. I just started sobbing, and she took me in her arms, and she gave me a hug, and she said, "Oh, Esther, everybody makes mistakes. Don't worry about it." And she never mentioned it again. But Mrs. C wasn't always that easygoing, no. When she got mad, boy, you better look out. But even when she was at her worst, there was a twinkle in her eye that said, "You didn't think that I really meant that, did you?" That took the sting out of it. I'm gonna miss that wonderful woman until the day I die. I love you, Mrs. C.